Dignity is a useless concept. This is what Ruth Macklin claimed in the British Medical Journal. And instead, she suggested we should focus on respect for autonomy. Now, nobody here wants to have something done to them without them knowing about it, especially if that thing's a bad thing. But it seems inadequate to suggest that just because you know about it, and just because you say it's okay, that somehow makes it morally acceptable. Think about this. Between 1932 and 1972, that's 40 years, a study unit in the United States allowed African American men to die of syphilis simply so that science could better understand the cause of the disease. Even when an effective and simple treatment became available, they were neither told nor given this treatment. Clearly, this is a violation of their autonomy. This is a violation of their ability to think and choose for themselves. But what if they had consented? What if somehow they were able to justify in their own mind the sacrifice was one worth making? Surely we would still want to be able to say that such research should never be allowed. What this does is it points to the possibility of another value, more important than autonomy, that would enable us to both explain why we want to respect autonomy where it exists, but also why we could override autonomy when a person is going to make a bad decision. I want to propose that that concept is indeed human dignity. But the conception of human dignity I'm proposing is a much thicker one than Ruth Macklin had in mind. You see, when we talk about respecting human dignity, we're talking about really valuing the complex whole that is each one of us. So let's have a look at what it is that gives us this dignity, this worth. First of all, you are alive. You exist as a member of the human species. Second, as a member of the human species, you have a number of capacities that you share with other members of the human species. Amongst those is indeed autonomy, the capacity to think and choose for yourself. But it includes also the capacity to love, the capacity to be in awe of something beautiful, the capacity above all to seek and make meaning through your moral behavior. Third, we all want to feel good about ourselves. We all want to behave in ways that enable us to affirm our own sense of self-worth. And finally, we do all of that in a community of people who, like us, also seek to realize their dignity and through morally meaningful lives. This last point is really important because it means if you want to fully realize your dignity, you cannot do so at the expense of the potential of someone else to realize their dignity. You cannot affirm your own worth whilst denying the worth of someone else. So returning to the problem of respect for autonomy in human research ethics, the thicker conception of human dignity that I'm proposing here helps us to explain why we do respect autonomy where it exists, but why we can also override it in certain circumstances. So, not respecting autonomy where it is present is denying something so fundamentally human that you are basically denying the worth of being human at all. You destroy your own claim to dignity. We're all shamed by the American syphilis studies. But we would also not allow you to consent to futile research that would lead to your unnecessary death. Allowing you to do so would to undermine the very value of life itself. And with it, the belief in the meaning and purpose of human life at all. Which, when you get right down to it, is really why we do research in the first place.